Let's go. Let's do some Tai Chi together. Just want to make sure you can see my feet. So I'll stand right back here. So feet parallel, shoulder width underneath the hips, and we're just going to bounce into the feet. And as we bounce into the feet, just small bouncing movements in the body, jigging up and down, try and feel the sole of the foot. Try and really get a sense of the texture of the floor, either through your shoes, barefoot, or on your carpet, or on whatever you're standing on. Really try and feel the whole of the foot and all the sensations you can feel in the feet. We're aiming to get the ball of the foot, the heel of the foot, and the outside edge of the foot, those three parts of the foot, the same weight in each foot. And by bouncing, we create a little bit of pressure that stimulates the sensation a little bit more. We lift the chest, so this distance here elongates. We drop the chin to elongate the back of the neck, to push the crown of the head up. And then we relax the whole body and let it settle into the feet, just like a bag of flour settles. I'm going to work on this a little bit tonight. And then our exercise is we fold the hips and we fold the knees. This is like a concertina. So the only two joints in the body changing really, the back stays straight but it leans. I fold the knees and I fold the hips at the same rate to take the arms down. I don't push the arms down, I just let the arms by the side, fold the knees, fold the hips, push the feet into the ground and scoop the fingers up and bring the fingers right above the head. You'll start to feel the whole front of the body open up, but you don't want your arms in front of you because you won't get that stretch. You want your arms right above the side of the ears, so you begin to feel the skin of the body pulling, lightly stretching all the way to the top. The hands are above the head, the body's connected, but in a contracted way, then we'll soften. Softening the whole body, every single muscle we can let go of, until the thumbs arrive at the thighs, and we start the whole thing again. We fold the knees, we fold the hips, and make sure here that your knees aren't coming in and your weight is staying in the same three parts of the feet, the ball, outside edge, and the heel. Use the feet and the legs to scoop the fingertips right the way to the top in one smooth movement, breathing in, without stopping at the top, breathing out and softening. The legs soften, the hip joints seat, the lower back relaxes, the chest, abdomen, shoulders, everything finishes. Fold the hips and fold the knees. Coming up, it doesn't really matter how low you go. Coming up is a light stretch. Feel right from the fingertips to the feet and release vertically downwards. Let gravity help you. All we're doing here is softening the muscles, letting gravity drop our body. Fold. Use the legs. Keep the weight in the same part of the feet on the way up and on the way down. And this time when we reach the bottom and the hands settle and the whole body connects, we're going to turn to the side. Turning to the side, I soften the right hip joint and the body turns. I'm sinking and relaxed, letting the right knee bend slightly. I'm softening the right hip joint and I'm gliding towards the right foot. So now I feel comfortably stable with most of my weight in the right leg. I do the same thing. Fold the hip, fold the knee. Turn to the front, scoop up by pushing the legs into the ground. Just feel the stretch and release. This time we'll turn to the left. So as if you're pouring your weight drop by drop by drop into the left foot, and your left leg is receiving the weight by the muscles in the legs softening to receive the weight of your body. As you turn, your hips stay level, your body stays upright. Fold. Come back to the front and lift. Stretch and release without stopping. Settle, connected. So there's a few things we really want to make sure we get right with this exercise, for a few reasons as well. So it's really important that the knees don't come in. When you're folding especially, it's important that the legs, the thighs don't roll in, the knees don't roll in, and the ankles don't collapse. We want to maintain the structure in the legs. So when we go through it now, just paying attention to what happens in your legs and really making sure that your knees go straight ahead in line with the feet. Okay, we'll do it a few times together. Just paying attention to the sensations in the feet and the direction of the bend of the knee. If you feel the weight rolling onto the inside edge of the foot, it's an indication that your knees are falling inwards. So you can use the sensation in the feet, keeping the sensation, the weight distribution still in your feet, in the same part of your feet as a guideline to what your legs and your knees are doing. When you're in this position, you don't want your weight forward or back or rolled in or rolled out. Stretch, release. One more time. Fold. Knees, really aware of what the knees are doing and how it affects the grounding in the feet. Stretch. And settle. Okay, let's bring in more detail. Let's add the next layer. And hi Joe, you just joined us. Hi, welcome. We're just doing the up and down stretch in a bit more detail. So when we stretch up, there are two things we want to look at: how we align the body. So on the way up, this distance here is going to open up, which has the effect of rotating my whole chest open. So as I lift my chest, have a feel of it. Have a feel for yourself. When you lift your chest up, it's as if this whole ball, that's the chest cavity, is rotating to lift up the thoracic vertebra and lift the top part of the chest upwards, and of course the back part of the chest downwards because of the rotation. That's the first rotation. So when I lift this sternum, it involves a rotation of the spine or of this area of the body. The second rotation is the head. But you can probably see when I open up this area here, this happens in the spine. The second rotation is in the head to elongate the back of the neck. The chin drops and the back of the head elongates this way. So I'm doing, when I lift up without the arms or with the arms, when I come up back here, I'm rotating the chest, deliberately lifting the chest and deliberately lifting the back of the neck by rotating the head. So in this position here, my body has changed chest and head. Let's give it a go. Let's move really slowly and see if that makes any sense, right? Because it only makes as much sense as you can feel it in your own body. Otherwise, it's just an instruction. And what we want to do is make these instructions, I can start to feel something different there. Right? That's the sort of thing we want to try and achieve. So with these exercises, even let's start it just in a standing position, okay? Without the arms, rotating the chest to lift the sternum. So it's less of just lifting the sternum, it's more of feeling the whole upper body change. And then rotating the head to lift the back of the neck. Making two little adjustments, chest, head. Chest comes up, chin down. Chest coming up, chin down, release. Chest coming up, chin down, long in the back of the neck. Just checking in with you, if there's any questions with that or any observations or anything about that you want me to go over or don't understand or you can't feel, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just let you play with that for a bit and see if you can just make those small spinal adjustments. And at first, they're very deliberate and they're a bit, just a bit physical. And in time, they become much more subtle. But at first we make big movements that really start to change the shape of our bodies. And then the tension we use to move our body, tension is contracted muscle, we then relax. So once we've lifted the chest, once we've dropped the head, and we take the tension away. We let gravity with the soft muscles push us straight back down into our alignment. So this is in effect, if you like, a physical way of making us aware of the movement and change there can be in the body. Okay. Most of the time, we're not really aware of these small shifts we make to keep ourselves in balance, or the holdings we have to keep our structure. What we want in Tai Chi is a really fluid structure, accurate, aligned, organized, but really fluid. So there's change in all these, there's natural change in all these places. When we step, when we put weight in one foot or the other foot, the pressures in the body change. Everything adjusts rather than being held and locked and tight. Okay, let's put it into the stretching exercise now. So when we lift up, when our hands reach about the height of the shoulder, you can start thinking about opening up the chest, lifting, rotating the chest. And then when your hands get about the height of the head, you can think about dropping the chin. So on the way up, you're rotating the chest and the spine, stretching up, release down. Settle by the sides, fold. Coming up. Forget your arms, feel your whole upper body. Open your chest. Drop your head. Lift your arms. Feel the stretch. Release from the fingertips to the feet on the inside. And settle into your upright, relaxed, connected position. Okay. Let's take a bow stance, standing with the left foot forwards. Left foot is forward, hips are forward, the right foot out to the corner, say 1 o'clock. In the central position, lifting the chest, rotating the chest, rotating the head, settling into both legs. The right bow stance. In the center, the hips level and straight ahead, Rotating the chest to lift the sternum. Rotating the head to lift the crown of the head. Releasing the tension to settle into both legs, to press your weight into the same part of each foot. Left bow stance. Left foot forwards. Just the same as ward off left, just the same as brush left knee twist up, the same base posture. To lift the body up, rotate the chest. Notice when I rotate the chest, if you just stop a minute and take a break, when I rotate the chest, I'm not leaning backwards. Okay, this isn't a movement in the hips and the lower back. This is a movement of the chest. Just the chest. So it's from about here upwards. It doesn't involve the whole of the spine, and it's not a tilt. It's inside the body, and it's a rotation which includes the shoulder girdle as well. There, puts me upright. And the same with the head. I'm not looking to move the position of the head. I'm just looking to let it turn on its balance point, which is around the middle of the head here. Okay. So have a go in the different bow stances. The left foot forwards. Lift the chest by rotating. Rotate the head. It pushes the crown of the head up. Take the tension away. Let your legs receive the weight of the body. Change to the right bow stance. Square up. Seat the hips. Lift the chest by rotating. Lift the crown of the head by rotating. Settle into both legs. Settling into both legs. Exactly what we want to do when we come into a central posture in the form is to settle into the center. We're going to practice this when we do the form and develop it in the weeks ahead. So let's do a couple more loosening exercises, then we'll go through some form together. So loosening exercise number 1, standing with our feet parallel, nice upright spine, the arms at the height of the shoulders, sink and turn. I'm turning on the left foot now, my weight's on the left, I'm turning to 1 o'clock. Drop the hands and square, sink onto the right foot and turn to 11 o'clock. The shoulders, the hips, the gaze to 11 o'clock. Square the hips, drop the arms, lift the arms. Sink. Square. Sink. Square. Sink and turn. Sink, release and turn. Square and lift the arms. Sink, release and turn. Lift the arms. Try and make the whole movement one thing. So the turning, the sinking, and the dropping of the arms are connected. Release, sink, turn, one thing, finish together. Square, finish the turning of the hips square. At the same time, the hands reach the beginning position again. Release, sink and turn. On the sinking, just stop. If you stop a minute, I'll explain a little bit more about the sinking. The sinking is a letting go. The sinking is a releasing through the body. And we want to maintain our structure and release as many of the muscles we don't need anymore to keep us upright. We want to stay upright. So we're going to need some muscles to be holding us, but the ones we don't need, we want to let go of. And the sinking should, when done well and when done thoroughly through the whole body, give us a sense of being really stable and grounded on our foot that we're moving on to. So it's like pouring a glass of fizzy wine gently, not letting it shake and not letting it fizz and bubble and not letting it go in too quick. Slowly pouring our weight so that moment by moment by moment, we're getting more and more stable as we go onto that foot. Okay, so it's not that you move and then look for stability. As you're moving onto the foot, you're becoming stable. You've got to move smoothly so the turning doesn't disturb your stability. This is why we do Tai Chi slowly, so we can feel these things. So as the liquid goes into the glass, it gently dribbles in and forms at the bottom and fills. And our weight going into our foot is the same as that. Throw it in, it's going to bounce all over the place. Have a break in pouring it in, and it's not as smooth. So what we want to try and do is maintain the same connection in the foot, ball of the foot, the outside edge and the heel, all the time the weight's going in. We don't want the weight to go one time to the inside of the foot, one time to the ball, one time to the heel, move around. We want the weight to go into the bottom of the glass, the drink to go into the bottom of the glass, stay there. Okay, so that's the explanation. Then we have to practice it. So for a minute, we'll practice. Feeling our feet, feeling the connection on the ground, and then allowing ourselves to drop our weight directly towards that part of the foot. Turn back. Feel our weight in our right foot. Feel our connection in our right foot. Feel the whole foot spread on the ground, ready to receive our weight. And let the knee bend. Let the weight sink into that foot. Square. Take our awareness to our left foot. Let the knee bend. Let the hip soften. Let the body relax. Let all the weight press into the left foot. Square. Feel the right foot before we move, and that's the bottom of the glass. We're going to pour the weight drop by drop by drop, really smoothly. When you pour the glass, you know what the smoothness is. With the body, it's the knee moving smoothly and changing smoothly the whole time. All the joints are changing smoothly the whole time. Feel the weight in the foot and let the body weight press in. Feel the weight in the right foot. Let the body weight pour in. Square. Feel the weight in the left foot. Which part of the foot is the weight in? Ball, heel, outside edge. Let it pour in as you turn, because you're moving across and you're sinking downwards. The weight and pressure in the foot is going to increase. You want it to increase into the same three parts of the foot. You definitely don't want it to increase in the ball or roll onto the inside edge. Are there any thoughts or questions with that as a practice, as an exercise? I'm just going to look at what you're doing. Louise, yeah, if you've got a question, Louise, that's fine. No? Okay, fine. Janice, I'd just say try and put your feet a little bit more parallel towards it. Yeah, like train tracks, yeah, good. The reason being, if your feet are more, if they're parallel, turning is much easier, whereas if they're outwards slightly, when you turn, you put more tension in the knee, and you'll feel the difference. David, when you go across to your left foot, think more downwards than across. When you move to your left foot, think of sinking downwards more than moving. Sink and let the sinking support you as you're moving. So what they say in the classics, the description of it is 1% of sinking gives you 1% of stability, 1% of grounding. Onto that grounding, you add 2% of releasing, which gives you 2% of grounding, which gives you 2% of stability and 2% of movement. So the movement follows the stability you have. So you develop stability by sinking, and that allows you then to put your weight in. You develop more stability, you can put more weight in. You develop more stability, you can put your whole weight in. What normally happens is we move our body across to the foot before we have stability, and then we feel ungrounded. So this way of training, if you like, in Tai Chi is a way of helping us understand what stability is and how we can keep our muscles in a condition that blends with our body weight and presses us into the ground. We use our own body weight to press us in and make us stable. Yeah, good. And just want to be some clarity on this exercise. If you have a look, when I move to my left foot, I'm turning towards 1 o'clock. When I move to my right foot, I'm turning towards 11 o'clock. So when I move on to my left foot, I'm not turning to my left, I'm actually turning clockwise to my right. So my body is turning clockwise, but my weight is moving over to my left. It's a little bit counterintuitive. When I move to my right foot, I'm turning anti-clockwise. So the effect it has is that this movement is my hip joint opening. Okay, so the hip joint opens to create the movement. The ball of the femur, which is the thigh bone, the cavity, if you like, that the head of the femur sits into, of the pelvis. So you've got the ball of the femur here, you've got the pelvis here, that's a hinge. And what's happening is the femur staying stable, the head of the femur, head of the bone is staying stable, and the pelvis is rotating like a door around the bone. So what's happening is the leg stays stable and the hips open. So this exercise teaches us how to, if you like, open the hip joint, close the hip joint, open the other hip joint, close the hip joint. Okay. Generally, when we open the hip joint, we make compensations elsewhere. Right? So what we will do when we open the hip joint, we'll also move the knee a little bit, and the whole leg rolls onto the inside edge. The ankle turns, the knee collapses, the hips open a little bit. What we want to do is learn how to make the leg very stable so it doesn't collapse, doesn't do the Elvis Presley thing of rolling around. It stays stable to allow the movement to take place in the hip joints where it's meant to take place. Right? I say meant to because it's much more efficient much more efficient from a martial art point of view. We don't want the leg to move because that disturbs our grounding. That disturbs our contact with the ground, and our stability then comes from our muscles holding on. We don't want our stability to come from the muscles wrapping around the bones like sellotape, keeping us in place. Because when we're contracted and held, we can't move, we're not free to move. We want that freedom of movement, just like a ball on the water, free to change the whole time. So if we move more accurately, we get that freedom of movement coming into the hip joint rather than pulling the body. So we also say it's like the tail wagging the dog. We try to move our hips, but our knee starts to cave in. We try to move our hips, but our ankle collapses. It's like the tail wagging the dog rather than the dog wagging the tail. We want to just move our hips. But when you practice this one, go slowly and go thoroughly, and only turn as far as you can, comfortably, opening the hips. Make sure the knee and the foot doesn't collapse. And that's good, Louise, to put your hands there in the hips is really good because you can start to feel the change in movement that's taking place in the hips as you turn. Great. I'm just going to look at the time. You gather the way I teach, I like to deep dive into things and go kind of into things quite thoroughly. If you're following me, great. If you've got any questions, please ask. Let's go through some form. Everything we do, every idea or training method or principle of movement comes into the form as well. Every time we turn, so there are places in the form, for example, after single whip, the next movement after single whip is exactly like the first loosening exercise, the opening of the hip in order to go into lift hands. The hip has to do exactly the same thing after single whip. The hip has to open. While I'm sinking, while I'm stabilizing, I'm turning open to give no weight in my right foot and stability in my left. One place that's happening. Another place it's happening is when we do right at the beginning, when we hold the ball. We sink onto the front leg and we turn open to take a step into ward off left. That turning here keeps the right leg really stable. The movement is in the hip joint, sinking until my left foot is free to step. So we can spot those movements of the hip every time we turn in that way, an open turning when the hips open. We'll see that come up again and again in the form. Let's go through the form from the beginning. Heels are touching, tongue on the roof of the mouth, the chest lifting and rotating, the head lifting and rotating, and then settling down. Letting the shoulders relax so that there's space between the body and the elbow. Really letting the shoulder and the weight of the arm settle over the frame. Coming to a place where your body is quiet. Quiet doesn't mean still. Quiet means just at rest. At rest with whatever is. Very lightly held, as if a wind would blow through the room, the body would sway. Bend the knees, sit the hips. Weight to both feet, then to the right foot, sinking. Like exercise number 1, we turn open the hips and turn the hips back. Rearrange the whole posture if you need to lift the chest, if you need to drop The chin, if you need to reorganize, if you need to let go, do so. Settle. Breathe in, lift. Hands at the height of the shoulders, one fist apart. Sink. Thumbs by the side. Turn. Sit back to the left foot. Turn open. Holding the ball in the 50-50 posture. Move to the front foot. Turn to the corner. Step left. Move in. Square the hips and bring the back foot in. Sink and settle. Move on to the left foot. Turn. Turn back. Turn into 1:30. Step. Move in. Still facing 1:30. Square the hips to 3 o'clock. Bring the back toes in. And finally, sink and settle. Moving on to the front foot. Turn to the corner. Square to 3 o'clock. Sit back. Turn and drop the left hand. Turn back. Now we're facing 3 o'clock again. Move in, the wrists touch as you reach the center. Sink and press. Sit back, the hands open. Sit forwards, the elbows bend. In the center, sink and push. Leave the fingertips behind. All the weight now in the left foot. Turn. To the right foot. Turn. Stay on the right foot and turn to 12 o'clock, pivoting on the ball of the empty left foot. Draw the left toes in. Step with the left heel to 9 o'clock. Move away from the hook. Square the hips to 9 o'clock and bring the right toes in and sink into the posture of single leg. Move forward. Turn to the corner. Lifting hands. Drop the hands. Turn open. Turn back and fold the arm 1/5 from the ear. Step to 10:30 with the right heel. Shoulder stroke. Move on to the right foot. Turning to the front. White crane. Spreads wings. Bring the ball of the left foot forwards. Drop the right hand. Lift the left. When the hands are parallel, turn. Turn back and fold at the elbows. Step left heel. Glide in. Square the hips and sink. Drop onto the left foot. Open the front hip. The hips now facing 10:30. Step behind with the ball of the right foot. Lift the hands. Then turn back to face 9 o'clock. Play guitar, heel of the foot, left foot touch. Turn open. Turn back and fold the elbows, step left. Move in and square the hips to 9 o'clock. Sit back, drop the right hand, turn to 8 o'clock. Move forward onto the left foot. Lift the hands and lift the knee. 9 o'clock, 10:30, place the right heel, walk onto it, keep turning. The left hand out to 9 o'clock, draw the right fist back, opposite the hand in a straight line. Step left, move in 50-50, square and punch. Turn to 8 o'clock, pull the hand through, turn back, push. Sit away from the fingers, turn, bring the right thumb to the center of the chest, and as you turn, bring the left heel, toes in. Move on to the left foot, opening up the arms, drop the arms. Bring in the right foot, cross hands. Let's have a little look at that last bit again. I'll demonstrate it from the punch. I'll do it facing you so you can see. Punch. The left thumb turns around the elbow. So it was sitting above, the center of the left hand was sitting above the soft part of the right elbow, and it turns, now it's sitting underneath the elbow. If I do it this way, and if you just touch your thumb on your forearm and just keep your thumb as the pivot point and just drop your fingers underneath, you see the way it cradles around the elbow. What we're going to do then, once it's underneath the elbow, we're going to sit back, leaving the left hand where it is, and the sitting back draws the right hand through. It's the movement of the body sitting back that pulls the right hand through. It's not that we push the left hand away. We leave the left hand where it is and sit back. So the movement looks like this. I'm punching facing 9 o'clock. I turn my waist. So I've got the wrong foot forwards. Soften the hip, turn to 8 o'clock. As I reach 8 o'clock, my left hand has dropped underneath the elbow, and my punch has turned open to a palm up, open palm. Now I pull back and draw the right hand through the left. As I turn back, the hands turn over into the center, and I'm ready to push by sinking. Let's do that together from the punch. I'll do it facing you, but it could be done facing 9 o'clock. If I face you or you face me, we can see each other. Sinking and folding the left hip. This time we're folding it in the opposite direction. So instead of opening the hip and turning one way, we're folding and turning anti-clockwise towards 8 o'clock, finishing together. Let's just do that first little bit. Sinking onto the left, turning to 8 o'clock, opening the right hand. Reset, punch, 50-50 posture. Sink to the right with the left foot. Turn. Hand goes at the left hand, turns underneath, and the right hand opens. My right hand faces the same direction. It hasn't moved. It turns because my body turns. So the only thing that happens with my right hand, the punch, is that it does that. It just changes from a punch, turns open, palm up, in exactly the same place. But because my body turns, it moves with my body. And it looks like I'm moving my hand to the corner to 8 o'clock. I'm not. I'm keeping the hand in front of my body, and my waist is turning, and my hand is moving with it. Very deceptive Tai Chi, because it looks like I'm doing a whole load of things with my arms. But what's really happening is the hands stay very close to the center line of the body, and the body turns and the hands move with them. And many of the moves, the hands are really close, because you don't want to open yourself up to be attacked. So the arms don't want to be all over the place. They want to be close and protecting your center, your vulnerable spots from a martial art point of view. So the punch here is a sinking to the left foot for stability, a folding of the left hip, facing 8 o'clock. Then we sit back, leaving the left hand where it is, to draw the right hand through the left. When we're right back over the back foot, which is the right foot, we turn to face 9 o'clock again, and the hands turn over into the middle, 50-50 posture, ready to press. My hands are in the A shape, A frame, and as I sink and push, the hands drift out. So the hands are going forward about the distance of the knuckles. And it's exactly the same as earlier in the form when I did press. Roll back, press, and here's the push, here, push. That time I was with my right foot forwards when I did press, push. This time I've got my left foot forwards, but the hands are exactly the same. Let's put those moves together. Punch. Sink onto the left foot, turn to 8 o'clock. Sit back. Sink into the center. And push, let the hands drift. Again. I'll do it facing a different direction. The arm is parallel to the ground, one span from the body. Elbow one span from the body. Turn. Arm parallel to the ground, right arm parallel to the ground. Move in, now the elbows drop and the arms bend, push. Sit back away from the hands. From the punch, turn. Sit back. Move into push. Sit away from the fingertips. Right, take a break and have a look at the next piece. After the push.
Ask a question, sorry. Can
Yeah,
I
Louise.
clarify one point? So when you've done, you're not coming back to 9, you're coming past 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then coming, so you're sort of going,
Yes.
you've gone to 10 o'clock and then coming back to 9 o'clock.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of, there's more movement to it than just straight back. So there's turning. To pull the arm through, you're not just moving in a straight line, you're kind of coming back past 9 o'clock, opening up to 10 o'clock and then closing again to 9. Yeah, great, good observation. I hesitate to say too much. I mean, there's so much detail that I hesitate to say more and more and more detail, but that's an important part of the detail. So the next piece, from the push, leave the hands behind, leave the fingertips where they are and sit back. So you get long arms again, body upright over the right foot. Here I turn, and as I turn, I leave the left hand where it is, and I draw the right thumb onto the center of the chest. Now my weight is in my right foot. And if you look at my left foot, as I turn the waist to face 12 o'clock, I bring the left toes in to face 12 o'clock. My feet are pigeon-toed at this point. I pivot on the heel of the left. My left foot is now facing 12 o'clock, my right thumb on the center of the chest. I move my weight to the left foot and the hands open up. This is a familiar position. I drop my hands like the second loosening exercise. I drop my hands, and as they lift and cross, my right foot touches down with no weight in the right foot. All my weight is in the left. Cross hands. Nice big round circle. Don't make it too close. Nice big round circle with a span between the body and the elbows. And the hands are crossed at the height of the throat with the right hand on the outside. And the hands reach the touch, they just touch at the height of the throat. They finish the move at the same time as the right foot touches down. Have a look at the whole move. I'll do it facing this way so you can see it. Have a look first. pivoting on the ball of the right. Drop, lift the right. Finish with all the weight on the left, cross hands. Let's have a go together from the punch. I'll do it facing you. Sink onto the left foot, turn to 8 o'clock. Left hand turns over, palm releases the punch. Pull back to pull the right hand through, turn to 10 o'clock. Turn back to 9 and sink into the 50-50 posture. Push. Let the hands drift out. Sit back to the right leg away from the fingertips. Turn to 12 o'clock, and as you do, bring the right thumb onto the center of the chest. The left toes come into face 12 o'clock. Sit back to the left foot, let the right hand open up. Arms are nicely balanced, same. Drop the arms, pivot on the ball of the right foot if you need to, and draw the right toes in. Feet parallel, all the weight in the left as the hands cross. Let's do that again. From the punch. 8 o'clock. Sit back. 50-50, push. Sit away from the hands. Turn, bring the right thumb onto the center of the chest, turn the left toes in. Sit back to the left, pivot on the ball of the right. Hands open up, all the weight on the left. Drop onto the left. Drop the hands. As the hands arrive, the right foot steps, no weight in the right, cross hands. One more time. I'm going to have a look at you, and then we'll see if there's any questions. Okay, in your own time, do what you can. It'll help you know if you've remembered it or not without me doing it. Just remember that new moves are always complicated. There's always something difficult and tricky with the new move. Do it a couple of times. Never just do it once with Taiji. It's always do it a few times. Good, yeah. Thumb on the center of the chest. That's good, Joe. And then sit back, open up the hands, and then drop the hands all the weight on the left and bring in the right foot as the hands cross. Crossed at the wrist with the right on the outside, yeah. That's it. Good. Yeah, so Louise, that's good, but you want to be, that last step arrives at the same time as the hands with all your weight on the left. Yeah, good. Luke, Janice, when you finish, feet parallel, same as before. So I'd say there's probably a bit of a habit going on there, something to work with, okay? Because they're all at the other end of the body. They're all the way down there. They want to do their own thing. Don't let the feet do their own thing. Make sure they do what you want them to do. Sit back, away from the fingers. Turn, bring the thumb onto the center of the chest, open up, drop onto the left. As the hands lift and cross and reach the throat, the footsteps. I'm going to demonstrate that bit again, okay? Have a look. I'm going to do it facing this way. Punch. Sink onto the left foot, turn. Draw back. Hands separate. Turn back, hands turn over into the push position. Sink and let the hands drift forward to push. Sit away from the fingers, long in the arms. Now turn and bring the toes in and the thumb onto the chest. This is one movement. The hips turn, the right hand comes in, the toes move, finish together. As the waist turns, finish. Push off onto the left. The hands open up. Now I'm in the left. Drop the hands. And as I lift the hands, the right foot steps. Don't be in a hurry to lift the right foot here. So when you sit back, turn, move on to the left. I'm 100% on the left here. I drop onto the left more, stable on the left, right. A couple more times. And we just got time to go through the whole form from the beginning. Joe, when they drop it, let them swing down. Let the arms from here, let the hands swing right down low and let them come up. Just like our second loosening exercise. That's it, that's great. Yeah, that's great. So you've got a real looseness at the bottom where they hit the bottom. They're really completely loose at the bottom. Great.
Can I just ask you, at the end, when the hands come up and we've still got a little weight on the left, and then when they actually
100% on the left.
Do we then go on to weight in the middle? Or are they still on the left? Still on the left?
Still 100% on the left, yeah.
Right, okay.
Okay. Unfortunately, it's leaving you hanging a little bit in that position because it feels like it should go on to even 50-50, but it's on the left foot. Take a break for a minute. We've got to a really important place in the form. Okay, this is the end of the first third of the form, and we've taken it really quite slowly, and we've gone through a lot of the principles, which then over the rest of the form, and as we learn the next moves, we will refine. But the majority of the work, if you like, it's all new. In this section, it's all new. You haven't done it before. You're getting used to how your body works. You're getting used to relaxing and staying strong. And all the things that are weird now, as we go through the rest of the form, start to become a little bit easier. The stepping becomes easier. The balance becomes easier because you've already done this difficult work. The people that don't do this don't get this far and they disappear in the class. But because you kind of got this far, we can go further and deeper into it. I take it you're into it, obviously, otherwise, because you got this far, we can go further with it. So it's an important place, and you should congratulate yourselves for getting this far with the form.
Can I ask a question? Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of the speed, we're doing everything sort of at the same speed, but is there a change in the dynamic throughout, or do we, like when we do a punch, or is it all the same?
The only reason we go at the speed we go at is so you can be aware of all the detail and the things you need to change in your body. If you can be aware and change and make sure it's accurate, you can go as fast as you like. There isn't a set speed to the form, and in most of the traditional systems of Tai Chi, there was also a fast form as well. So it wasn't done slowly. It was done parts of it were done much faster, and there are some forms in different styles that do have a change of speed in the movement as well. The way a muscle changes, it takes time for a muscle to change. So we try and move at a speed that gives us a real sense of being able to feel how a muscle lets go and how we can adjust accordingly. But you can go faster. and you can definitely go slower. But I would aim to keep a constant speed through the form. Right, because what happens is what you'll find is that when you speed up, it's like, you know, sometimes you're driving in the car and all of a sudden you got somewhere, you go, Jesus, how the hell did I get here? Right, and it's kind of everything becomes a blur, and we're on automatic pilot. We don't really want to be on automatic pilot when we're doing our Tai Chi. And if you go faster, and you can experiment, do the form twice the speed, see what happens to your principles. Right? It's not just about getting the movements down, it's about making sure that in each movement, the principles, am I upright? Am I soft through my body? Is my body organized? Is my mind in the right place? If all these things are in place, you go whatever speed you like. There isn't a required speed, but to learn it, I try and teach at this speed because that enables us to become tuned into what we're doing with our bodies. Because most of the time we just get the movements right, but what makes the movement right is the quality. We don't want to lose an awareness of the qualities that are changing the body. Let's go from the beginning to finish off. We may go a minute over, but that's okay. Give yourself time to put yourself in a good upright position and then settle down. Let the body settle. Let the mind tune into the sensations in the body. Let the body be very loose. Let the weight be in the center of the feet. Sink. Bend the knees, sit the hips. Preparation. Settle. Turning to hold the ball. Ward off left. Ward off right. Roll back. Press. Push. Single whip. Lifting hands. Shoulder stroke. White crane spreads wings. Brush left knee, twist step. Play guitar. Brush left knee, twist step, second time. Step forward, deflect down, intercept, and punch. Withdraw and push. Sit back, cross hands. All the weight in the left foot. Very good. Excellent. I hope there was some good things for you to look at in that tonight. And Practice up to cross hands. Next week, we'll move on with a new posture. We'll go into the second part of the form, the second third of the form. We'll start to develop more of what actually happens when you arrive in the center of the posture, how the issuing or how the pushing, how the forces come through the body. We'll start to look at that in a little bit more detail. Great. Have a good week.
You too,
Thanks a
thank
lot. And I'll send you the recording tomorrow.